Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everyone? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to another edition of the monthly Astro Forecast live here on YouTube in the Astro Room. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if this is our first time meeting, hello, welcome. And if you are returning, as always, welcome back. So this channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right. And speaking of content, so here on YouTube, every Monday night, I do a live weekly Astro forecast. The last Wednesday of every month, I do a monthly Astro forecast. And if you want even more content, you can follow me over on Instagram at Divine Feminine Works, where I give you the daily astrology. So I got you covered, my friends. All right. So head over to Instagram at Divine Feminine Works and hit that follow button. You definitely won't be disappointed. All right, my loves. So welcome to August 2023. Can you believe that we are more than halfway through 2023? I remember it's around this time last year that I started preparing for the 2023, astrological forecast and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, wow, like time flies by. I remember how 2023 felt so far away and now we're like almost done. So enjoy it. Savor every moment because time really is speeding up. All right. So let's let the people over on Twitter know that we are live so they can come over here to YouTube and join us. All right. So August. Thankfully, this is not going to be a crazy month, astrologically speaking. It's pretty run of the mill in terms of what we have going on. I would say the only interesting things, or the two interesting things that we've got going on this month, is that we've got two full moons. So we start the first day of the month with a full moon, and we end on the second to last day of the month with another full moon. So it is a month that is bookended, I guess you can say, with full moon energy. And so you know that full moons are all about like culmination. So full moons can signify manifestations coming to fruition. But most importantly, full moons illuminate. So I feel like August is going to be one of those months where we are really illuminated. We have opportunities to become enlightened to the circumstances in our lives, okay? And I'll go into what that exactly means and where in your life this is going down. But I feel like August is going to be one of those months where we really have the opportunity to not only become enlightened, but to also do a lot of reflection, because the second important thing, or the second theme of August, is that we have two more planets going retrograde. So currently, as we start the month, we've already got 3 planets. So by the time August is done, we will have 5 planets in retrograde. So it's going to be one of those months where things kind of slow down. Things have already started to slow down, right? But whenever we have retrograde energy, it's really about being intentional. It's about reflecting, and it's really about examining sort of things from the past. We may have situations from the past coming back around. There may be issues coming up for us to finally get it together and get things right. So I feel like August is going to be one of those months that's full of illumination and reflection, for better or for worse, right? But before I get into everything, of course, we start with housekeeping and announcements. So by way of announcements, I'm going to be dropping a video on the first full moon of August, which is going to be in the sign of Aquarius. That video is going to be dropping this weekend. It'll give you everything you need to know about this particular full moon. So just by way of information, I used to do a regular moon cycle video. So like for every full moon, I did a video. For every new moon, I did a video. I haven't done it in several months, but I'm actually getting back to that now. So that first video is going to be dropping on Saturday. And again, it's going to be on the full moon in Aquarius. All right. So subscribe, set notifications so you will know when that video drops. All right. Let's see, what other announcements do we have? Well, first, housekeeping. So if you are joining me here live tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate you. Feel free to say hello in the chat, converse with your other community members, right? And if you would be so kind as to hit that like button on your way in, it would help the channel immensely. And I really, truly appreciate it. All right. And if you are watching this on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. Thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely hope that you get some valuable information, because the whole purpose of these live streams, of these videos for the regular astro forecast, is to keep you informed and to help you sort of live your best life. All right. So hopefully you find value in that. And if you do, if you would be so kind as to hit that like button as well, that would be greatly appreciated. All right. So secondly, I want to talk about something super important, which is my signature service, which is called the Blueprint. So basically it is a natal chart report plus consultation. And I'm really pushing this because we are at a time right now where you really need to know yourself, particularly with the North Node and the South Node having just changed signs. With the North Node going into Aries, the South Node going into Libra. This is war versus peace, right? And the last person that you want to be at war with is yourself. If you know yourself, if you have an idea of what you're doing, if you have an idea of what's going on with your relationships, you're so much better armed than if you're sort of just flailing all over the place and you have no idea what you're doing. Not to say that this natal chart report will, tell you exactly what to do in life. However, I will say that this report is definitely important because it sheds light on your life. Your natal chart is your blueprint. It can tell you a myriad of information. And so my signature service, again, is called the Blueprint. And so it's a 20-page written report that addresses things like your personality, your relationships, your personal numerology, career, money, all of that stuff. And it also includes a 60-minute Zoom consultation. So not only do you get like a booklet, right, that's full of information all about you, you also get a consultation where I not only pull cards, but I also go through the report soup to nuts, and you have the opportunity to ask any of the questions that you feel that you need to. All right. So again, it's my signature service. If you are interested, it's actually linked in this video. I'll also put a link in the description box below. Sign up. I have open availability for the rest of the month. So definitely sign up and get your life. All right. And as always, if you are someone who is interested in astrology, but you have no idea what's going on, or you started studying astrology and you're still kind of lost, you're realizing there's a lot of information, it can be overwhelming. I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which is basically the quick and dirty on the foundational information that you need to know to start studying astrology. And that foundational information includes the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. So it's an 11-page PDF document that, again, gives you a summary of all 4 of these pillars so that you're able to start committing them to memory. Because regardless of what anyone says or doesn't say, astrology is definitely a science. And like any science, requires a good deal of study. So to help you start studying, I created this cheat sheet. So it's completely free. Link will be in the description box below. All you need to do is drop your email and you will be good to go. All right. All right, my loves. So August. Like I said, we've got 2 full moons and we've got 2 planets going retrograde. So currently, as we start the month, we've got Venus retrograde in Leo, we've got Saturn retrograde in Pisces, and we've got Neptune retrograde in Pisces as well, okay? And so essentially, we're already in this mode of reflecting. We're already sort of in this energy of things kind of slowing down and for us to take a better look and to reflect on certain aspects in our lives. Now, with Saturn and Neptune retrograde in Pisces, this is about taking a look and reflecting on your inner world, particularly your beliefs, your belief system, your dreams, your aspirations, things, anything having to do with you and sort of your subconscious, basically your inner world. We're already kind of slowing down and taking a look at those things, right? With Saturn and Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Then we've got Venus retrograde, which I'm sure if you are a subscriber to the channel and if you've seen my last couple of lives, I've talked about this extensively. Venus goes retrograde every 18 months. And, this particular Venus retrograde has a lot to do with love and relationships, whether it's old partners coming back or it's old relationship issues coming back via new people or new situations. So even when it comes to love, we're kind of slowing down with that and being intentional and reflecting. And then this month, we've got our absolute favorite, which is Mercury retrograde. And Mercury is actually going to be going retrograde in Virgo. So not only is Virgo Mercury's home sign, or at least one of Mercury's home signs, but with Mercury retrograde in Virgo, things are going to get even slower. This is going to be a time where we slow down and we organize, whether it's organizing our thoughts, whether it's organizing our health, whether it's organizing our paperwork or our homes. Slowing down and sort of cleaning up is going to be the theme of this particular Mercury retrograde. All right. And then also we've got Uranus going retrograde in Taurus. Okay. So by the time that this particular month is over, by the time that August is over, we've got 2 planets retrograde in Pisces, 1 planet retrograde in Taurus, 1 planet retrograde in Virgo, and another retrograde in Leo. So we've got this mix of water, earth, and a little bit of fire. All right. So suffice it to say, with all of that sort of energy being retrograde, again, it's going to be a time where we're slowing down, where we're reflecting, and where we have opportunities to be very intentional about the things that we're not only processing, but sort of moving forward as well. Okay. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the month and see what we've got going on. As always, we start with the highlights. So first up, we have what I like to call the awakening. And this is the fact that we have 2 full moons this month. So essentially, I feel like when there's redundancy in astrology, right? When we have 2 full moons in a month, or we have a planet in a sign for an extended period of time, sort of like Venus in Leo, right? It's the universe sort of putting an exclamation point on that particular topic or in that particular area of our lives. And the fact that there's 2 full moons this month means that for some, this is going to be a month of endings. And by endings, I mean like the culmination, like reaching the finish line, right? Like the manifestation. So your manifestation coming to fruition. Almost like the cycle is completing, right? And for others, it's the universe's way of really opening your eyes to certain things, okay? So the universe has a lot to show you. There's a lot of enlightenment this month, and it can be a month of major completions and or accomplishments, okay? Next up, we have what I like to call devils in the details, and this is going to be Mercury retrograde in Virgo. Now, I must say, I'm a Virgo sun, so I'm very, very familiar with Virgo energy, and Virgo energy is kind of the energy that most people don't particularly like because it can be very perfectionist, very nitpicky. It's also about the finer details of life. That's why Virgo kind of Virgo energy is very emblematic of our daily activities and our daily routines. And so with Mercury going retrograde in Virgo, this is sort of your opportunity to get your daily life and daily routines in order, where it's time for you to, again, organize, clean up, reduce clutter, whether it's in your mind or in your house, right? It's one of those situations where we have the opportunity to not only clean up, but we have the opportunity to go back over things and reanalyze them, perfect things, and I'll get more into that later, and of course, getting organized, okay? Then next up, we have what I like to call people pleasing. I couldn't fit it here, but I call it people pleasing passive aggressiveness, okay? Try to say that 10 times fast. And this is going to be Mars in Libra, okay? So Mars in Libra is an interesting placement because Libra and Aries are sister signs, or they're opposite signs. So Mars is at home in Aries. However, when it is in the opposite sign of Libra, Mars is extremely uncomfortable. And so this, Mars energy has a lot to do with aggressiveness. It has to do with being direct and being focused. And Libra energy is sort of the opposite of that. Libra is very much about weighing both sides, seeing, being able to understand different positions and different vantage points, when, Mars is just like, this is my opinion. This is what I like. That's it. I'm not even going to listen to you. And so with Mars in Libra, we tend to experience a lot of people pleasing. Rather than going after what we want directly, we sort of take into account other people's opinions and other people's viewpoints. It also lends itself to a lot of passive aggressiveness. So people aren't going to be direct with how they feel. As much as I love Libra, and I have a Libra stellium, so I'm very familiar with Libra energy. And for some reason, I always attract a lot of Libras in my life. But Libra energy can be, for lack of a better phrase, superficial. It's very much about the surface. Again, it's people pleasing. It's very diplomatic. It's very playing politics. And so that's why Mars in Libra has a lot to do with passive aggressiveness, all right? And also subduing your desires for the sake of others, as I mentioned before. But again, I'll get into all of this in detail over the course of this broadcast. And then finally, I have what I like to call harnessing the universe. And this is going to be Uranus retrograde. So when Uranus is retrograde, things become a little less chaotic. Uranus is the planet of sudden changes and surprises. I call it the hand of God because we have no control over it. God can cause chaos. And of course, if you're familiar with, how I basically say things, chaos always breeds creation. And so, but when Uranus is retrograde, things kind of calm down a bit. And what I love about Uranus retrograde is that it allows us to harness the power of the universe and use it constructively. So rather than being tossed around by the universe and feeling like we're out of control, when Uranus is retrograde, we can take that energy and sort of rearrange things in our own lives. We can definitely use the energy constructively. And Uranus retrograde also gives us sort of a kick in the ass when it comes to transformation. It sort of gives us this urge and this desire to really transform ourselves, right? To make improvements and innovations in our lives. So Uranus retrograde is a very interesting transit, but a constructive one nonetheless. All right. So let's get into the month and see exactly what we've got going on. All right, so first up we start off the month with a full moon in Aquarius. Thereafter, we've got new moon in Leo. After that, we have Virgo season officially beginning with the sun moving into Virgo. Thereafter, we've got our favorite Mercury retrograde also in Virgo. Then we've got Mars going into Libra, which is going to be all about people pleasing and passive aggressiveness. Then we've got that powerful, constructive Uranus retrograde. And then we close out the month with another full moon, this time in the sign of Pisces. All right, so let's get into it and start discussing. So first up, we open the month on August 1st with a full moon in Aquarius. So like I said, full moons are all about either completion and or illumination, right? So this full moon in Aquarius is going down at 2:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on, I guess that is Tuesday, August 1st. And it's going down at 9 degrees Aquarius, okay? So Aquarius energy is very future oriented. It has a lot to do with improvement and innovation. It's also a sign of humanity. So there's a certain element of humanitarianism that goes along with this particular sign, okay? And Aquarius energy tends to be kind of quirky. Aquarius sort of marches to the beat of its own drum. Aquarius urges us to step outside the box and to find our own unique path and our own unique personality. So that's kind of what's playing out in the backdrop of this particular full moon, okay? Now, when it comes to the numerology of this full moon, we are dealing with the number 9. And the number 9 is a very powerful number. I mean, every number has a certain amount of power inherent in it, right? But the number 9, I find it to be particularly powerful because it signifies completion, but not finality, okay? So it's almost like right before you hit that finish line. A cycle has ended, but you haven't quite moved up to the next level. It's almost like, when you're in school, particularly in high school, and you finish all of your exams, like it's senior year, you finish all of your exams, but you haven't had graduation yet. That's kind of how I feel. That's the best way for me to describe the energy of the numerology of the number 9, okay? So inherent in the number 9 is the fact that you've completed a cycle, but there's still a little bit to go and there's still the opportunity for a new cycle to begin. It's almost like being in this transition period. You've got one foot in the old and one foot in the new, okay? The number 9 also has a lot to do with transformation, and it has a lot to do with wisdom, particularly the wisdom that you've gained over the course of whatever this cycle has been. So suffice it to say, I feel like with this particular full moon, number one, because it's an Aquarius, it's going to be like future oriented. So it's giving you the opportunity. So like that transition I was just talking about, the fact that it's an Aquarius sort of gives you the energy to think about that next new cycle, that next new phase, and sort of plan for it and get ready for it in your mind. Whereas the full moon itself, with full moons being all about illumination, I feel like it's going to illuminate things perhaps that will contribute to your wisdom. It'll give you sort of an opportunity to reflect on this particular cycle and what you've learned, what you've gained, what you've lost throughout this complete, throughout this cycle, essentially. Okay. I feel like it's going to be, with the ruler of Aquarius getting set to go retrograde, and the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, I feel like while there may be some surprises with this full moon, I don't think they're going to be jarring surprises. I think that it's more so going to be a situation where you almost are going to be surprised at how much you've grown or how much a situation looks different to you now. Maybe you're reflecting on, let's say that Aquarius is your 9th house, right? And 9th house has everything to do with higher education. So maybe this full moon signifies you finishing your coursework, getting ready to graduate. And so it's almost like in graduating, right? You're sort of looking back at maybe like the first day of this program and how maybe excited you were to learn. And then you think about all of those exams that you had to take and how stressful they were and how maybe some of those exams you didn't do that well, but then you learned. Maybe you're reflecting on the people that you've met and how they've sort of contributed to your life. You know, sometimes the closest friends that we have are people that, you know, typically that we go to school with, because these are the people that are sort of in the trenches with you, taking these exams and learning and doing all of that stuff. So again, it's like this reflection on the entire process. And in doing so, gaining wisdom that you can use moving forward into the new cycle that is about to begin. Okay. And interestingly enough, I said the 9th house, right? Because not only are we dealing with the 9 numerology, right? Because it's going down at 9 degrees Aquarius, but the astrology related to the number 9 has a lot to do with Sagittarius. And so Sagittarius is a sign of wisdom. It's a sign of wisdom gained through experience. And it's a sign of higher education, of broadening your mind. So I feel like this full moon, if I had to sum it up in like one concise sentence, I feel like this if I say new moon, forgive me, I mean full moon, this full moon in Aquarius, it's enlightening sort of how far you've come, how much you've expanded, whether you've expanded your mind, whether you've gained knowledge, whether you've gained experience. I feel like it's just going to show you how much you have grown. Okay. And for some, it may also highlight how much maybe you still have to grow. I mean, because if this cycle has been, a cycle where you haven't really gleaned any lessons, if it's been a cycle where you've kind of just been following the crowd, Aquarius is all about marching to the beat of your own drum. And the full moon in Aquarius can enlighten you to where you're sort of just blending in or trying to fit in and where you're not really standing out. So this full moon may show you situations that require you to stand out, that require you to march the beat of your own drum, to find your unique voice, to improve certain areas of your life. So this moon may illuminate the fact that maybe whatever area of life this moon, this full moon is occurring in for you, maybe you need some improvement. Maybe there's some tweaks that you need to make, right? Let's say Aquarius is your 6th house. 6th house has a lot to do with daily routine, work, and health. So maybe when it comes to health, maybe this full moon is going to illuminate the fact that if you want to have a healthy future, if let's say there are certain things you want to do, like have kids or do something like that, maybe it'll show you where you need to improve on your health, where you need to improve on your diet, right? And all of that is just information. It's not meant for you to be hard on yourself or anything like that. It's really information for you to improve and get better, right? Okay. Let's see what else we have for this particular full moon. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. All right. No, that's not it. So, in terms of the astrology for this new moon, like what transits are going on at the time of, I mean to say full moon. I keep saying new moon. So this the moon, both the moon and the sun are going to be square to Jupiter. And so this is really going to emphasize that concept of expansion, okay? So this is about showing you how much you've improved, how much you've expanded, or perhaps how small you've been playing things, or maybe how you've been limiting yourself. The full moon is going to shed light on ways that you can expand, that you can grow, right? And anytime we're talking about Jupiter, we're talking about abundance, we're talking about good fortune. So for those that are experiencing a culmination at this full moon, right? A manifestation that's coming to fruition, it may be a situation where you're getting more than you expected, or the work that you put in is paying off, 10x as opposed to 2x like you expected. So there may be this element of surprise in terms of how grandiose or how lucrative or how fortunate this culmination is for you. All right. But regardless, I feel like it's going to be a very eye-opening full moon, especially if you use it to not only determine like how much you've grown and expanded, or what you need to grow into, how you can expand, but using that information to plan for the future, to plan for that next phase, that new cycle that is imminent. Okay. All right. So the next up, we've got the new moon in Leo, and this is going down on August 16th. So the new moon in Leo is going down at 5:37 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And it's going down to 23 degrees Leo. So Leo has been getting quite a bit of attention lately, not just because it's Leo season, as I am doing this video, it's currently Leo season, but also because we've got Venus in Leo. Venus has been in Leo since June, and she will remain in Leo until October. So wherever Leo is in your natal chart, this is the area of life that's getting a large boost of energy. There's like an exclamation point on the energy of Leo in our lives right now. And so, new moons are all about new beginnings. It's about planting new seeds, and it's about setting new intentions. And whenever we're talking about a new moon in Leo, it's all about manifesting or setting the intentions for things that we really love, things that we're passionate about. It could be romance. It could be something having to do with children. It could be anything having to do with the creative expression of who we are. Whatever it is, whenever there is a new moon in Leo, you always want to plant seeds and set intentions for things that you really want, that you're passionate about, that your heart wants, right? It's not the time to be very logical. It's not the time to really think about things from a logical perspective. It's really that saying, the heart wants what the heart wants. New moon in Leo, perfect time to address what the heart wants. Okay. So this new moon is going down at 23 degrees Leo. So the numerology of this new moon is 5. And I like this a lot because 5 signifies change. It signifies curiosity, the need for variety, and implementing change in our lives. This energy, I feel like it pairs so well with Venus retrograde. Now, I believe this new moon is going to be conjunct Venus. Actually, let me check real quick because I don't want to give you any incorrect information. But I do believe that it's going to be... Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it'll still be in conjunction range. I say that because Venus retrograde is already showing us sort of what we want in relationships, right? And maybe we may be enlightened to what we want because we're experiencing what we don't want. If we have partners coming back around and we don't necessarily want them, if we have relationship issues resurfacing that we're realizing that we need to eradicate and heal from, once we realize what we want, once we realize what the heart wants via Venus retrograde, we can use the energy of the Leo new moon to manifest what it is that we want. So I feel like August 16th is going to be a very important day. You're going to want to be very intentional about what it is that you want to manifest, specifically as it relates to relationships or whatever area of life that Leo happens to govern in, wherever Leo is in your chart. That is the area of life that all of this is going down in, right? And so again, we have the opportunity to really tap into our heart space. And for some, it may require you to be really courageous in terms of going after what you want or trying to manifest what you want, right? Relationships are always a very touchy subject. And when it comes to relationship issues, many of us have been burned, many of us have been hurt, many of us are jaded. And sometimes we end up psyching ourselves out when it comes to what we really want. Perhaps, let's say, for instance, you were engaged and found out that your partner was cheating, or you were left at the altar, right? And then let's say years later, you meet someone and, you feel like in your heart, I want to get married. But that wound, right? That wound from being abandoned at the altar or for being cheated on and betrayed, you may be like, I want to get married, but no. Your mind is probably absolutely not. I'm not putting myself through that again. It's just too hard. Venus retrograde, using the energy of Venus retrograde, you can really start to heal that wound and truly address the desire, your authentic desire for marriage, right? And so you can plant those seeds now. Well, not now, but around that new moon in Leo, you really have the opportunity. Let me just put it this way. I feel like this new moon in Leo is it's giving us fertile soil for us to have the relationships that we truly want. Point blank, period. If you use it for that, I think that you can really set yourself up for wonderful relationships, maybe marriages, committed partnerships, whatever you want in life. I feel like this is going to provide this with Venus retrograde is going to provide the fertile soil that we need to have some dope ass relationships. I'm trying to say it. I just had to boil it down to its essence. And that's pretty much what it is, right? So let's see. Again, the number 5, it is associated with Gemini and Virgo, which has a lot to do with communication, has a lot to do with change, has a lot to do with the logical mind. And this is where things may get tricky because, like I said, there's change happening, right, with the number 5. But maybe those changes or what you really want is contrary to what your mind is telling you. Your mind and your heart may be disconnected, or they may be going in 2 different directions. And it's really important that you allow your heart to lead. That's the whole point of Leo. As logical as you want to be, as much as you want to process things mentally, the essence of Leo energy is about following your heart, having the courage to follow your heart. So again, you may want to use the energy of this new moon to manifest a dope ass relationship. And yeah, so the new moon is going to be conjunct to Venus, right? So that's new beginnings in love, romance, all of that stuff. Realizing what's really in your heart and what you really desire and setting those intentions, right? That's it. It's also going to be, so the new moon is talking about the new moon conjunct the North Node. No, the new moon isn't conjunct the North Node. It might be, I'm sorry, the new moon is going to be conjunct my North Node. The new moon is also going to be square to Uranus. So again, it's going to be this energy of sort of expecting the unexpected, number 1. But number 2, that energy of Uranus is really about shaking you out of your comfort zone. Let's go back to that example that I just gave. You have that severe wound with respect to marriage. You've either been betrayed or you've been abandoned, right? This this new moon, I feel like you're going to have situations that are going to shake you out of that comfort zone. And they may not be that bad. They may show you glimpses of what you could have, right? If you were to have the courage to follow your heart, I feel like the universe is going to be like, see, gonna have it like on a silver platter, like, see, this is kind of what you can have, but you kind of have to get out of that, feeling of jadedness or that insecurity or that fear. And then this can be yours, right? So for some, it may be enticing. I feel like that's the word I'm hearing right now. Like, you may be enticed out of your comfort zone. And I like that. I like that a lot. Not just for me, but for everybody. Like, I like that a lot. So allow yourself to really tap into your heart space. Allow yourself to listen to what your heart wants and then set those intentions and get to work. All right. All right. Then on the 23rd, we've got the sun moving into Virgo, which officially starts the best season of the year, which is Virgo season. And yes, I'm a Virgo sun. I'm also a Leo North Node, so I can be very prideful about it too. But yes, Virgo season begins on August 23rd. Okay, so the shift from Leo to Virgo can be kind of like a letdown, right? Because Leo energy is very summer, right? It's having fun. It's being childlike. It's entertainment. It's all of that summer kind of energy. And then Virgo is that like back to school energy. People are like, I've already started seeing here in the South, schools open in August. So back to school you've seen back to school commercials like all month, right? But yeah, that's that back to school energy. It's sort of like, all right, playtime is over. Now it's time to get back to our regularly scheduled program. It's time to get back to work, back to school, all of that good stuff, right? So everything about Virgo is detail oriented. So when the sun is in Virgo, we're sort of, not only does the sun energize, right? So the concept of paying attention to details, it sort of becomes energized within us. Number one. But number two, it puts a focus on our everyday lives. Okay. And, that Virgo energy sometimes gets a bad reputation for being very boring, being kind of dry, being, whatever. But our daily lives are important. As much as we want to focus on the bigger picture, as much as we want to focus on what we're doing in the future and where we want to be in life and what we want to have, it's those daily activities that help propel us toward that bigger picture. And while you shouldn't necessarily get caught up in the details, right? Because that's when you sort of lose sight of why you're doing things. You do need to pay attention to and be intentional about the things that you do on a daily basis. Like if your overall picture is, I want to lose weight, I want to lose like 50 pounds, right? It is those habits every day. It's the things that you do every day that are going to get you to that goal. And that everyday energy is governed by Virgo. So Virgo gives you the chance to organize your life. And regardless of wherever Virgo is in your chart, you have the ability to sort of take stock of what you're doing on a daily basis and is it helping you, right? Virgo is also a sign of service. Virgo and Pisces are the two signs of the zodiac concerned with service. So it's also like, how can I be helpful, right? Pisces, service under Pisces is very humanitarian. It's like charitable work, being a philanthropist. It could be like volunteering in a hospital, that kind of thing. Virgo is like, oh, here, let me lend you a pen. Or here, let me help you with that. Let me help you carry your groceries. Like Virgo is a practical helper. Virgo loves to be useful. So Virgo season has a lot to do with being of service, not only to others, but to ourselves. How can we be useful to ourselves? How can we do whatever it is we do on a daily basis more efficiently, right? It's very important that we take a look at our everyday lives because it is your habits that help shape your life. And people don't like to hear that, right? Because we live in a society that's very microwave. People want results tomorrow. Virgo reminds us that we have to be consistent on a daily basis. We have to work on a daily basis in order to reach those things. So inherent in Virgo energy is the concept of consistency. being consistent, whatever you're doing, showing up for yourself on a daily basis, or maybe even showing up for other people, right? So this is what we do during Virgo season. All right. Let's see this comment right here. Yes, definitely learning to be more useful for myself as Virgo, Leo, Virgo. Yep. Exactly. And that's the thing with Virgo energy, both Virgo and Pisces, because they are so concerned with service. Virgo and Pisces can really be they can be useful to everyone, but sometimes not themselves. It's like you're giving to other people all the time and in the process neglecting your own needs. The key to Virgo and Pisces energy is that you have to serve yourself first. You cannot fill from an empty cup. So you need to be healthy. You need to be you need to be physically and emotionally healthy, right? You need to have a store of energy so that you can serve yourself and serve others, right? And so it's Virgo energy is, as it may not be sexy, right? Like Leo energy is sexy. It's fun. Scorpio energy is mysterious and sexy. Aries is dynamic and bold. And Virgo's like, okay, let me clean my room. Or, all right, let me help you put your resume together. It's mundane things, but understand that it's those mundane things that help get us to the bigger picture. And that is everything that Virgo is about. All right. All right. We're keeping it moving. Next up, we've got Mercury retrograde in Virgo, and this is going down that same day on August 23rd. So again, more of that Virgo energy, right? But now we're sort of taking that energy and we're using it to not only organize our present, but go back in the past. Here's the thing with Mercury retrograde in Virgo. It is super dry and boring, right? Like I'm not even going to like sugarcoat it. It's super boring. This is literally like you have a closet that you've just been shoving things in for the last 2 years. Mercury retrograde in Virgo is like, you know what? Let's clean that up. Mercury retrograde in Virgo is like perfect for addressing that stack of mail that you've kept on your counter or on your desk for months. Mercury retrograde in Virgo is like, all right, let's take out the letter opener and let's go through all of these and see what they say. Maybe it's some late bills. Maybe it's an unopened check, whatever it is. Like Mercury retrograde in Virgo is really about going through paperwork. It could be going back over plans, going back over contracts, going over things with a fine-toothed comb. This is one of those transits where you will want to break out your bank statement and see what some of those extra charges are, or see what this particular thing is. What is this interesting? Like this is really going back over things to make sure that things are copacetic, that things are in order, but also to analyze things, right? You're not just going through your bank statements for no reason. The whole point of that is to see what your financial situation looks like, right? It's also about perfecting things. And I said this before, and I said that I would sort of expound on this now. Perfection, when I say perfect things, I'm not talking about being perfect at things, like not making mistakes. When I say perfect, I really mean like practice, like you're perfecting your craft. Let's say you're someone who makes something with your hands, right? Let's say you are a sculptor. Mercury retrograde in Virgo, and especially because Gemini has a lot to do with hands, right? But it's perfecting your craft. Mercury retrograde in Virgo would have a lot to do with maybe you're just continuously sculpting on a daily basis with the objective of getting better. Perfecting your craft doesn't mean that you learn something today and you're an expert tomorrow. It means learning something today and every day committing to showing up and to improving yourself, even if it's just 1%, right? So wherever Virgo is in your chart, you have the opportunity to do that. You have the opportunity to say, listen, either I'm going to learn this, or even if I know this, I'm going to commit myself to getting better. right? And then you can use that thing that you are perfecting and use it to be of service to people on a daily basis. Because Virgo is the natural ruler of the sixth house. The sixth house has a lot to do with our work. So in perfecting your craft, right, this may set you up to get a different job, particularly when Mercury goes direct next month. Is it going? Yeah, when it goes direct in September. This can set you up to be of service to people. So maybe if you have your own business, this can be a new offering that you have for people, right? Again, Virgo energy can be very mundane. It could be very boring, but it's those daily activities that you are perfecting, that you are getting more efficient at, that you are organizing, that's going to set you up for success in the long run. Okay. So keep that in mind with this retrograde in Virgo. And also, because Mercury has a lot to do with paperwork, contracts, and Virgo is like perfectionist, you are going to want to be extra careful when it comes to signing contracts, agreements, things like that. Like I would say either go through it 3 or 4 times, try not to sign on the dotted line while Mercury is retrograde, and get professional advice. So get the advice of a lawyer, of a counselor, of an advisor, something like that. All right. So you're going to want to be careful for that, because Mercury retrograde in Virgo could have you signing on the dotted line, and then the whole tenor of the contract changes based off 1 comma or 1 period or a typo, right? And it's going to require you to redo the deal all over again at some point in the future. So pay attention and try not to rush to make decisions or sign on the dotted line when Mercury is retrograde. All right. Then next up, we have Mars entering Libra, and this is going to be on August 27th. Okay. Like I mentioned before, Mars is super uncomfortable in Libra. It's known as Mars's fall sign. When a planet is in its fall sign, it's the opposite of its home sign. Just like when you are not at your house, you're at someone else's house, there's a certain level of comfortability you may not be able to have. You may not be able to walk around naked. You may not be able to just go in the fridge and do whatever, leave your dirty clothes on the floor, right? You have to abide by someone else's rules. So it makes it pretty uncomfortable. So Mars, when it's in its home sign of Aries, Mars can be direct. Mars can be combative. Mars can be fiery, bold, dynamic, and risky, right? When Mars is in Libra's house, Mars has to be quiet. Mars has to learn how to play nice with everybody else. Mars has to learn how to share. And Mars has to be diplomatic and polite and jovial with everyone. And Mars doesn't like that shit at all, okay? And so what ends up happening when Mars is in Libra is 2 things. Number 1, like I mentioned before, there may be a lot of people pleasing. When it comes to Mars, Mars is all about desire, but desire in a very sort of selfish way. Like, I want something and I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what you think. I'm going after what I want, point blank, period, right? But when Mars is in Libra, you may be feeling that way, right? You have a specific desire, but then you have someone say like, why do you want that? That doesn't make sense. Or I don't think that's going to work for you. Or, you know, like, especially like in a relationship or something like that. It could be, oh, you know, I want to go back to school, and your partner's like, but you know, I'm not going to be able to support us on my salary alone. So it's going to be one of those situations where you feel like you have to appease other people to keep the peace, where you sort of give in to other people's opinions about your desires, which could lead to passive aggressiveness. So let's say the example I just gave you, right? You have a partner and you decide you want to go back to school full time, and they're like, yeah, I can't afford for you to go back to school full time. You're like, okay, so you decide not to go back to school. But then when it comes time to pay the bills and everything, like you give them shade, or you're kind of like, you know, sly, underhanded remarks all the time. Like, I'm doing what you want me to do, or I'm not doing what you don't want me to do, but I'm not going to be pleasant about it. That's kind of how Mars in Libra operates, okay? We also don't want to look like the bad guy, right? So we'll have this burning desire, right? But we're afraid of what other people are going to think. We don't want other people to think that we're selfish, or we don't want other people to think the worst of us. So again, we engage in like that people-pleasing behavior. Um, let's see, what else do we have here? I think that's pretty much it. That's really more so about people pleasing, passive aggressiveness, being diplomatic and playing politics, right? Again, there may be something that you want to have, be, or do, achieve, whatever, but you got to play nice with everybody. That's that superficiality of Libra. Libra wants everything to look good, to be copacetic on the surface, right? Libra is ruled by it's funny. I know a Leah who is a Libra, but she's not like that. But I don't know why I just said that. But Libra is ruled by Venus. So Venus loves for things to look good. That's why Libra wants everyone to get along. Libra wants, everyone to be pleasant. And so Mars and Libra, like you feel like you have to play politics. And most of the time where we do this the most is like at work, right? Like you want to curse out your coworker, but you got to be polite, right? Because you don't want to, you don't want to be the aggressor, nor do you want to be taken to HR. Like you feel like you have to play politics. So Mars and Libra, not the most comfortable placements. I feel like this sort of energy, this energy of maybe stifling your desires for others, passive aggressiveness, having to play politics and play nice, it can lend itself to like keeping anger within you, keeping rage within you. So I would say if you're feeling or if you feel like you're in a situation where you have to play nice, you have to play politics, or you have to take other people's opinions into consideration when it comes to your own desires, like you're going to want to find a healthy outlet for that frustration and that anger, whether it's working out, whether it's going for a run, whether it's sex, whatever it is, in a healthy way, whatever you can do to sort of dispel some of that energy and to release some of that anger and frustration, do it. Because invariably what can happen is if you feel like you're in a situation where you have to play nice and play politics for an extended period of time, you might end up really popping off after a while, like a pot with boiling water that eventually the lid like pops off. Like that is definitely what could happen. So you definitely want to release some of that tension, that frustration, that anger, that rage in a healthy sort of way. And Mars will be in Libra probably for like a month or so. So we'll have the end of August throughout September with Mars being in Libra. So I wouldn't say brace yourselves. I'll just say find a healthy outlet. And I think you'll be able to sort of survive this transit. All right. Then next up, we've got Uranus retrograde in Taurus, and this is going down on, it says August 27th, but it's really August 28th, okay? So Uranus is going to be retrograde from August 28th until January 27th of 2024. So for the remainder of the year, Uranus will be retrograde. Now, I sort of alluded to this before, but I call Uranus the hand of God because God has complete control. It's like it's things that are out of our control. It's sort of the chaos of the universe. That is the essence of Uranus energy. And so when Uranus is retrograde, that sort of slows down, right? Now, Uranus has been in Taurus for quite some time. I want to say since 2018, thereabouts. And so wherever Taurus is in your chart, this is where you have been consistently pushed out of your comfort zone. So Uranus remains retrograde for, I want to say 6 to 7 months out of the year. So for half of the year, it's like you're being pushed out of your comfort zone. And then for the other half of the year, it's like you have this energy to sort of change things in your life. It's almost like being pushed out of your comfort zone by the universe, and then you voluntarily expanding outside of your comfort zone and it not being so chaotic, right? I hope that makes sense. I mean to say that when Uranus is direct, it's like the spirit and the universe or God or whatever is like, your comfort zone is here. I'm pushing you the fuck out of here. Like you are not going to feel comfortable. There may be some chaos in your life. Fine. Then when Uranus is retrograde, you're like, okay, clearly I need to move out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to do it on my terms. I'm going to inch my way out of my comfort zone instead of being pushed. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. But what I love about Uranus retrograde is that it's all about breakdowns and breakthroughs. Uranus is all about change. And in a sign like Taurus, change can be difficult because Taurus is a fixed sign. You know, think of the symbol of Taurus is the bull, right? Bulls are notoriously stubborn. So wherever Taurus is in your natal chart, it's likely where you have fixed energy. It's where you're probably stubborn about something, right? So let's say you've got Taurus as your third house, which would make you a Pisces rising. When it comes to your ideas, you tend to have ideas that are probably conservative, or you're very stuck in what you think. It's very difficult for you to venture out of what you think, what you know, and what you believe. Well, this Uranus transit through Taurus, which I believe we have another 3 years to go, you've constantly been, it's almost like you've been tested in terms of what you think and what you believe. It's like the universe trying to change you, expand you. It's trying to get you out of the comfort zone, out of your mental comfort zone, essentially, right? And so now that Uranus is going retrograde, now you're like, okay, I understand, Spirit, I get it. You're trying to push me out of your comfort zone, but now let me use that energy of transformation and do it on my terms. So rather than just you presenting me with these situations that are jarring or that are just surprising, right? Let me decide to learn something new, learn something I don't otherwise know. Let me talk to someone who's different, who may have a different viewpoint than me. And again, this is the example of Taurus being in your third house. So rather than the universe, again, essentially mind fucking you, if I'm being blunt, you decide, all right, I will expand my mind. I will venture out of my comfort zone. I will be open to other people's opinions and other people's way of doing things, but I'm going to do it kind of slow and steady. I don't have to be, like a freight train with it. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, Uranus has a lot to do with improvement also. So again, it's not the universe sort of pushing us out of our comfort zone. We have an innate desire to transform ourselves, to improve ourselves, to innovate ourselves or maybe situations in our lives. And there's just this lack of volatility with Uranus retrograde, which is a great thing. That's why I say it allows you to harness the power of the universe from the inside out. It allows you to take that cosmic chaos, mold it however you want to mold it, and change yourself. Uranus retrograde can be very, very productive if you will allow it to be. Okay. And then finally, we close out the month on August 30th with a full moon in Pisces. So again, we've got bookend full moons this month in August. So this full moon in Pisces is going down on August 30th at 9:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's going down at 7 degrees Pisces. 7 is the magic number this year. Not only are we in a universal number 7, but we've had quite a few full moons and new moons that have occurred at the 7th degree or the 16th degree. I believe we had one moon on the 25th degree. All of those reduced to the number 7. So 7 is super important this year, okay? So when we're talking about Pisces, Pisces is our inner world. It's our emotions. It's our ability to connect to something outside of ourselves. It represents our subconscious. It represents our spirituality. It's also service-oriented, just like Virgo, like I mentioned before. It's spiritual, it's emotional, it's intuitive, it's psychic. Needless to say, this full moon is going to be probably pretty emotional, right? But it's going to have this level of wisdom to it that may be very significant. So just to recap, that full moon in Aquarius that we start the moon with also has this element of wisdom to it, like I mentioned before. And so also does this full moon in Pisces, okay? The number 7, it's like intuition plus intellect. So it allows us to examine things from a very holistic perspective. So we're not just logically rationalizing things, or we're not just feeling things emotionally. We're doing both. That's where that wisdom and that depth comes in with the number 7. The number 7 is also a very spiritual number. You know, God created the world. God created everything within 7 days. So there's this element of completion, right? Which goes perfectly with the whole concept of full moons because it may be a time of completion, culmination. It's also definitely a time of illumination and enlightenment. So the astrology for the number 7 has a lot to do with Libra because Libra is the 7th sign of the zodiac, but it's also associated with Pisces and Neptune. So needless to say, I feel like this full moon in Pisces is going to have a lot to do with our intuition, with our psychic abilities, with our spirituality, being able to see the bigger picture, humanity, all of those Pisces elements are going to be very emphasized with this full moon in Pisces. Now, the tarot card for the number 7 is the Chariot. So there's this element of moving forward, right? It's not going to be like the full moon in Aquarius where we're sort of future minded. It's more so about moving in our purpose, being led by spirit, being led by our intuition. So it's moving forward, well, into the future, obviously, but from a more like ethereal sort of viewpoint, from an ethereal sort of place, from a spiritual sort of place, from an emotional sort of place, right? Let's see. I have these papers all over the place. And every time I do these lives, I try to get them nice and organized, but for some reason I don't. Okay. Now, I typically tend to look up these things called the Sabian symbols. And basically the Sabian symbols give an archetypal story for every single degree of the zodiac, right? So 7 degrees Pisces is a girl blowing a bugle. And basically this Sabian symbol symbolizes heeding the call, sort of waking up. Okay. So this could be why this particular full moon may be very emotional because it may require you to wake up. If you are watching this live or if you're watching this replay, it's safe to say that you're on a spiritual journey, right? I don't think I'm pretty much sure that the people that watch this are somewhere on their spiritual journey. Remember how it felt when, hold on, what is this comments? Yep, Sabian symbols. Exactly. That's exactly how it's spelled. I believe you can go to sabiansymbols.com and you can look it up. It's very insightful. Like it gives a lot of information, again, on each degree of the zodiac. So let's say you've got your sun is at 10 degrees Aries. It'll tell you what the archetypal story for 10 degrees Aries is. Like very informative. What was I saying? So yeah, so how when you begin your spiritual journey, how kind of jarring it can be because you're heeding the call of spirit, right? And you're waking up. But in waking up, you're realizing what you have to leave behind. Like you become a different version of yourself. And it requires us to leave behind certain people, places, and things. And how that can be kind of jarring, how it can be, how that feels. And I feel like we're going to feel a certain element of that with this particular full moon. But there may be a situation that really wakes you up. But this wake up is not going to be just your attention is going to be alerted. I feel like who you are, your soul, your spirit is going to be awakened. So again, I feel like this full moon can be quite jarring and can be very emotional in that regard. Now, the moon is also going to be conjunct Saturn, which is currently retrograde. So part of the reason why this full moon may be jarring, while it may be emotional, is because Saturn retrograde is going to have you address your insecurities, your fears, your bad habits, whatever structures that you've been adhering to that may not be for your best interest. It may have you address your authority or your autonomy or lack thereof, right? I just said that when you wake up, you realize the things that you have to leave behind. And the moon conjunct Saturn retrograde, it's going to show you what you have to leave behind. And it's going to show you in a very clear way, almost like a neon sign. Because whenever we have full moons, like things become very clear, very, very clear, right? Maybe you are realizing that there's a particular direction in life that not only do you want to go in, but that you're being guided to go in. And you realize that the people that you hang out with, they're not on the same vibe. Even though they don't necessarily denounce what you're doing or disagree with what you're doing, they're not really on that vibe. Maybe it's time for you to reevaluate those relationships. It's not to say that you need to probably cut them off completely, but maybe you need to focus less of your energy in that direction and more of your energy in the direction that you are being guided to take, right? Things that we need to leave behind are going to become perhaps painfully clear to us with this full moon. But again, this isn't happening for no reason. It's happening because we've got places to go, people to see, things to do, the best version of ourselves to become. And we can't do that if we're holding on to things that are making us stand in our own way. And full moons are excellent at showing you kind of where you're standing in your own way, or what things are standing in your way, and being able to notice them so that you can release them, so that you can go in the direction that you're being guided to go in is everything, right? And so this may also be a situation where you're addressing your spirituality or lack thereof, right? Either way, many of us are going to be very clear on what we need, what we don't need, and where we are going. You know, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and the zodiac, if you go from Aries to Pisces, it's like going from baby to elderly, but then Pisces to Aries, it's repeating the cycle all over again. So it's almost like, you know, in the physical, like dying just to be back in the womb all over again. So whatever we're leaving behind, whatever we're being shown that we need to sort of move away from with this full moon in Pisces, it's because we're getting to be reborn, right? And I don't know about you, but I do believe in reincarnation. And now that I know better, if I have to come back here, I'm not trying to come back with some of the issues that I dealt with in this lifetime. I'm like, no, I want to learn my lesson now so that maybe I'll have an easier lifetime next time, right? We're getting ready to be reborn, and we get reborn every lunar cycle throughout the year. When we go from, new moon in Aries, every lunar cycle, we're getting reborn. It's an opportunity for us to get rid of the things that we don't want, to work towards the things that we do, and be reborn all over again. That's exactly what this full moon in Pisces is designed for. So my loves, that is pretty much the month in a nutshell. Like, that's what we've got going on. So, as always, I'm going to be pulling some cards for us from messages from Spirit. All right. As always, I do this by sign. Okay. But whatever resonates, resonates. Whether it's your sun, your moon, your rising, your Jupiter, your Venus, your North Node, doesn't matter. If the message is for you, it is for you. Okay. So, as always, let's start off with Aries and see what we have for Aries. All right, Aries, we've got the Four of Wands. Aries, I'm hearing bitten by the love bug. This celebration, this togetherness, you see these two people there, right? Like, this is what you are desiring. And I think that you're desiring it very strongly. And so I feel like August is going to be a month where you are going to want to plant the seeds of this at that new moon in Leo that I was talking about. So for you, especially if you're an Aries rising, Leo is going to be your fifth house of romance, right? Romance, dating, relationships. So whatever your relationship goals are, you're going to want to plant those seeds at that new moon in Leo, which is going down on the 16th. Okay. I also feel like I'm hearing unashamed. Like, I don't know if the person that you want to be serious with or whatever, I don't know if other people's opinion of that person may not be the best, but I feel like you don't care. The heart wants what the heart wants. You want this person, you want this situation. That's what you're going for. And I'm seeing you fiercely defending this relationship and or this person. And Spirit is like, I'm with you on this. Just plant those seeds, get to work. Let me do what I need to do and just watch it come to fruition. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus for August. Okay, Taurus. Another sort of relationship kind of energy. All right. Interesting. So we've got the Two of Cups. This is partnership. This is togetherness. All right. Again, I feel like that new moon in Leo, set the intentions for this. At whatever stage you're at, whether you're single and you're looking for someone, whether you want to get married, although I get the sense that this is someone pretty specific. Okay. But I also feel like there's a certain amount of effort you're going to have to extend beyond your comfort zone. Taurus, you guys are notorious for wanting to stay in your comfort zone and be stubborn about staying in your comfort zone. You really want this, but there's certain things that you may not want to compromise on. Compromise is the word that is coming through. So there may be an amount of compromise that you may need to make, whether it's in a current relationship or even if you're single. It's almost like, if you have your criteria, right? Like, this is what I want in a partner. It's not to say that you need to just cross off erase one of those things, but it may come in a form that is different than what you have imagined. So be open. That's the kind of compromise that you may need to have. But by and large, I feel like this relationship can definitely come to fruition for you. You just have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone and kind of compromise a little bit. Okay? All right. Next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for August. All right, Gemini. We've got the Two of Pentacles. You are really trying to make something happen. It's not even like you've got two options. I'm just getting that this is more so juggling different things to make something happen, right? I'm seeing okay, there's an event. Let's say you're an event planner and you've got this event coming up and you feel like you're juggling multiple things. You're juggling the caterer, the flower person, the rental company, the person who you're doing the event for. There's so many moving parts to whatever it is that you are doing right now. But I feel like you're doing a good job. I feel like the whole point of this message for you is to remind you that you're actually doing this. I feel like there may be points in time where you are second guessing yourself or you're doubting yourself. Because you're juggling so many things at once, it's almost like you can't see the end result. You can't even see how well you're doing in the process. But Spirit wants to remind you that you're actually doing this and you're actually doing this pretty well. So don't be too hard on yourself, especially because you're doing the most right now. Of any sign, you guys can handle multitasking the best. But even this situation seems like it's throwing you for a loop because it's a lot. But you're doing a good job. Spirit wants you to know that you're doing a good job and that this situation, it's actually going to work out better than you think. You're going to have people come up to you and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. That was the best event I've ever been to. Or, oh my gosh, you handled that project so well. I feel like the reward for this job well done is going to be more than you expected. All right. So enjoy it and don't be too hard on yourself. All right. Next up, we have Cancer. Let's see what we've got for Cancer for August. Cancer. We've got slow and steady wins the race with Knight of Pentacles. Cancer, this is a month where I feel like that Virgo energy is really going to be an exclamation point in your life. Between the sun moving into Virgo and Mercury retrograde in Virgo, I feel like you guys are just going to be putting your nose to the grindstone and working. For some, I feel like this is going to be a month focused on your job. So I don't know if this is sort of cleaning things up so you can find a new job or getting more organized at your current job so that maybe you can get a promotion or you could just work better. But I feel like August is just going to be a month that's full of work. Now, I say this because I also feel like you've spent maybe July, maybe even June. I feel like you guys were really the opposite of this energy. Having lots of fun, you're not really concerned with this. So maybe this Mercury retrograde in Virgo is okay, maybe there's a lot of paperwork you've neglected, or maybe your desk or your workstation is a complete mess. I feel like August is going to be a month where you get organized, you get efficient, and you really just work. I don't necessarily see you being mad about it or I don't want to. I feel like you've had enough fun for the summer and you're sort of welcoming this time of getting organized and efficient. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got Leo. Let's see what we've got for Leo for August. Okay, Leo, you've got two cards. Leo, you've got two cards. We've got the Fool and we've got the Knight of Swords. New beginnings are afoot, but this is like your mind is on overdrive when it comes to a new beginning. Like some of you want to just take the leap with something. Like your mind is just like a freight train, like almost like you want to set fire to your old life or to the situation and just completely start fresh. Like I'm seeing someone who just like wants to pick up and like change their name, change their identity and go to like a completely different place. There's this energy of really wanting to start fresh. But Spirit is like, what is your intention behind that? Are you running away from something? Or have you learned the lessons that you've needed to learn in this past cycle and you're ready for a new beginning? This is the question that I think that August is going to ask of you. Why do you want this new beginning so bad? It's not to say that you shouldn't have this new beginning or that you shouldn't think about this new beginning, but what is the motivation behind it? Are you just trying to escape something? Are you just like, listen, I feel like there's this dumpster fire over here. I'm not trying to address it. Let me just start something new over here. I'm hearing, especially when it comes to relationships, is there something that you're not addressing? Are you more interested in just letting this relationship go rather than working on it? Do you want to date someone new or whatever? Meanwhile, you've left a dumpster fire in your old situation. You need to really examine why you want this fresh start, your motivation behind this fresh start, and sort of get your mind right, get your mind in the right place. It's not to say that you need to go back and tend to everything in the past. But if you're trying to run away from something, understand that it will likely catch up with you at some point in time, right? So better to address it now than start something new and potentially ruin what you're starting because you've left some old energy in the past, right? Hopefully that makes sense. But examine why you want this fresh start. I feel like that's what's going to be your task and your challenge for August. Okay. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we've got for Virgo for August. You've got two cards as well. Okay, we've got the Tower and we've got the Six of Pentacles. All right, so this is definitely giving me Uranus retrograde energy. So Virgo, there is something that you've experienced that was definitely like a shock to you. Something perhaps happened unexpectedly. And it's like there's something about this retrograde, this particular Uranus retrograde season, where things are really going to balance out. Wherever Taurus is in your chart, if this message pertains to you, then just look at your chart and see where Taurus is. This is where you've likely been experiencing a whole bunch of shakeups. And I want to say that at least in August, you are going to experience a lot more calm energy. Things are going to, so as much as it was surprising is as much as it makes sense in my head what I'm saying, but as I was saying it, it sounded kind of nonsensical. Things are just going to balance out for you after a period of shakeups, surprises, and sudden changes and happenings, okay? For some, I feel like if there was a situation where you unexpectedly lost something or found yourself unexpectedly in a somewhat bad situation, I see some help coming in. I see some financial assistance. I see people just willing to lend you a hand, whether it's introducing you to someone who would be beneficial to you or giving you some advice or information that is beneficial to you as well. I see that this period of turmoil is evening out. It's calming down right now, and you're going to get some much needed assistance. Okay. That was Virgo. Next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we've got for Libra for, I want to say October, but no, August. Let's see what we've got. All right, Libra. Got the Ace of Cups. So this is definitely this energy of fulfillment. It is the begin. I'm hearing like, you know, when you start doing something that you like and you realize that you want to make it a hobby, like it's something that you enjoy doing, but you're at the point where you're kind of doing it for the first time. So I feel like there's something that you're going to be doing or some sort of activity that you're going to be partaking in August that you're kind of doing it for the first time, but it's really emotionally fulfilling. And it's sort of indicative of the fact that you're going to probably keep doing this thing in the future. I keep hearing October. I don't know. I know that Libra energy or Libra season is in October, but there's something about doing something like in August and it continues until October. But again, it's giving this energy of like you're doing it for the first time, but it's so emotionally fulfilling. It's like peaceful. You're like, wow, I can't believe that I didn't know this before, or I wish I had started doing this earlier because this feels so good. It feels relaxing. It feels peaceful, right? And with Mars entering your sign at the end of August, it may be something that you are going to like, again, I'm getting the beginning, like you're just starting to do this or you're doing this for the first time, but it's going to be something that you are going to develop a desire for over the next couple of months, definitely into October for some reason. But yeah, enjoy this thing. I feel like it's going to give you a nice like reprieve from your life, from your everyday things. Again, I'm getting like hobby, like something that you like to do, something that you like to engage in. It's calming, it's peaceful, and it's emotionally fulfilling. Okay. Next up, we've got Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio for August. Scorpio, we've got the 10 of Pentacles. So first of all, money is looking real good this month. Money is looking real good. I'm hearing like savings plans. So for some, I'm hearing like, like a savings plan for your children. Like what is that 529 savings plan? Like you can save for college for them. But I feel like you are just very grounded materially. Some of you are you're in the position, like in your process of things, like in the process of building your empire. You've gotten to a point where you're very comfortable financially. You're starting to get like, it's not like you're at the point where you're just starting to make a profit. You've been making a profit for a while, and now it's like you've made investments that are paying off. You kind of have more than enough money. Like you're in a very grounded financial position, and you're in a position to accumulate more. Like this is setting you and your family up lovely. So you guys are I feel like August is going to be a month. I said we've got those bookend full moons. For you, I feel like it's a full moon of culmination of manifestations coming to fruition and seeing how your hard work has paid off. Now, of course, this may not have to do with money per se. It could be anything. It could be something that you've been working towards. You're seeing the fruits of your labor, and you're no longer, it's not even like you're at the halfway point. I feel like you're past the halfway point in this process of becoming the best version of yourself or building your empire or whatever it is. But I feel like things are looking very good. I feel like there's an abundance of abundance this month. So just enjoy it and give yourself the credit that you deserve, because you guys have been working pretty hard lately. And again, I feel like August is going to be a month of patting yourself on the back and enjoying the fruits of your labor. Okay. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. So let's see what we've got for Sagittarius for August. All right, Sag. So we've got the 9 of Wands and we've got the 7 of Pentacles. Okay. So I feel like there is some work that still needs to be done. Some of you, this 7 of Pentacles, right? So you've done some work initially and you feel like this is harvest time. There may be a certain manifestation that you've been working on and you're like, listen, I feel like this is it. Like, I feel like this is what it needs to be. And Spirit is like, not yet. It's not quite harvest time. There's still some work that needs to be done. Like you're almost at the finish line, but not quite there. So whatever it is, like, let's say, for instance, just to use like the example of money, since this is Pentacles. let's say you have money in a savings account, like an interest-bearing savings account or whatever, and you see something that you really like and you're like, listen, I just want to liquidate this and buy this thing. But you also know, like, yeah, nah, maybe it's not time. Maybe I need to let this money, maybe I need to let the interest continue to grow on this money. So there's still some level of development that needs to happen, which is why it is not harvest time yet. As much as you are tempted to harvest, as much as you are tempted to liquidate, to spend, to enjoy the fruits of your labor, it's not quite time yet. So whereas for Scorpio, it is time. For Sagittarius, it's not quite time yet. It's almost like the cake is almost done. If you take it out of the oven right now, it's sort of barely edible. You need to let it cook a little longer. You need to let it develop a little longer. You need to exercise your patience muscle and wait for this to be finally done, right? Because then the harvest that you reap when it's finally done is probably bigger and more abundant than if you were to try to reap the harvest now. So Sag, exercise patience, just wait, be persistent, keep working at it. And when it is harvest time, I think it's going to be a lot more than you expected. Okay. Next up, we've got Capricorn. Let's see what we've got for Capricorn for August. All right, Capricorn. Oh, okay, nice. You've got the Ace of Cups as well. Capricorn, I feel like this is a relationship. I feel like it is a new relationship or the renewal of a relationship. Capricorn, I get the sense that you guys have done quite a lot of work in terms of healing emotional wounds, especially as it pertains to relationships, because this cup is empty, but I think it's newly empty, meaning that you've done the work to allow your cup to, okay. I'm seeing like a cup that's full of like stagnant water. You know, like if you have a chalice and you leave water in it, let's say for like 3 or 4 days, and then it starts to get that ring, that white ring around it. It lets you know the water is old, it's stagnant or whatever. Capricorn, I feel like you've done the inner work to dump out that water, clean that cup, shine it up, and now you're able to present this cup, right? You're ready to receive. Your cup is empty and it's just waiting to be filled with love, affection, whatever it is. And so I feel like August has you feeling like this. It has you feeling ready for love. It has you feeling receptive. It has you very much in feminine energy, divine feminine energy. So Spirit wants you to know that in August, it's really about being receptive. Now, you just cleaned out your cup, right? You don't want to put anything in your cup that's poisonous, that doesn't taste good, that's not good for you. You need to be selective. You need to be discriminating with respect to what you fill your cup with now. Because again, you've done all the work to remove that stagnant old water. So now it's time for new love. It's time to be emotionally fulfilled and to be receptive to the love that you want and that you deserve. Okay? All right. Next up, we have Aquarius. Let's see what we have for Aquarius for August. All right, Aquarius, we've got the moon. Things are not what they seem. I feel like for you, especially because you have the first full moon of the month in your sign, I feel like the full moons are definitely going to affect you pretty heavily this month. So it may be a month that is quite emotional for you. I think that many of you will be really addressing your emotions. But again, I feel like some of you I feel like I'm hearing like things aren't what they seem. So it's really important for you to really be, wow. I'm hearing a lot of different things that kind of don't make sense. It's almost like you are not perceiving things as they really are. So Spirit is like, this is a month for you to just really reflect on how you feel. You know, Aquarius is an air sign having a lot to do with intellect. And this is going to be one of those months where you can't rely on your thoughts. Our thoughts are not always true. That's where this perception is not really reality thing is coming through. Like things aren't what they seem because your thoughts are taking you to places that you don't need to go. Like this is not the month for you to rely on your thoughts. This is the month for you to rely on your intuition, rely on spirit, rely on source, God, the universe, right? Don't rely on your thoughts because things are not what they seem, especially in your mind. And it's not to say that you're going crazy or anything like that. It's just, this is not the time to be logical, right? We can't always trust our thoughts because sometimes our thoughts are telling us some bullshit. Sometimes our thoughts are not our own. So this is the month to rely not on your own understanding. This is a time for you to really connect with God, really connect with source, and allow yourself to be spirit-led this month. I think that is going to allow for an easier experience. If you rely on your thoughts, I think that you're going to have a very tumultuous month. So rely not on your own understanding, allow yourself to be spirit-led, and I think that that's going to make the month go a lot more smoothly for you. Okay. And then finally, last but not least, we've got Pisces. So let's see what we've got for Pisces. Oops. For August. Pisces, we've got the 3 of Wands. You guys are waiting. You guys are waiting. You guys are expecting. You guys are like, where is my shit? Where is my shit? And Spirit is like, it's coming, but you kind of have to meet me halfway. Some of you are stuck in your ways. Some of you are like, you're just like, everything needs to come to me. I'm not doing any work. I'm tired of doing work. I'm tired of doing this. I just want things to come to me, right? This is reminding me of, if you watch a lot of manifestation videos on YouTube, a lot of people will say, you can manifest anything. Action is not required. And while that is true, it is not always true in every circumstance. There's going to be at some point some sort of action that you need to take. But I think because that you've taken action that has not resulted in what you want, you're at the point where you've got like your arms crossed and you're like, nope, I'm not taking action. I'm not doing this. Everything needs to come to me. And Spirit is like, all right. Okay, but you need to get up off your ass. How bad do you want this? It's not to say that you have to work hard for it or engage in any sort of arduous action, but you got to meet Spirit halfway. It's like if you want to lose weight, right? Yes, you can manifest the weight just melting off, right? But maybe it's melting off, God forbid, because you're sick or something like that. Sometimes we got to take action. Sometimes we got to take our ass to the gym. Even if we don't take our ass to the gym, maybe we got to stop eating candy all day, right? There's a certain action that needs to be taken. So Spirit is like, uncross your arms, stop being a brat, and allow me to tell you which actions to take. That's another thing. You've been relying too much on what you think the action should be. So maybe you've been running like a chicken with your head cut off. Like, oh, let me do this. And then when it doesn't like pan out, you're like, see, I shouldn't take action because when I take action, it doesn't work. Yeah, because you're listening to your own thoughts. Like Spirit is like, listen, get in alignment with me. I'll show you which actions to take, and then you'll get your shit. That's it. So Pisces, meditate, get in alignment with Spirit, allow yourself to receive the messages so you know which actions to take, and then you'll start to receive your shit. All right. All right, my love. So that concludes this edition of the monthly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this new month. Thank you so much for tuning in. All the information that you need about me, my products, my services, it's all in the description box below, or it's linked to the video. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the best for August, and I'll see you in my next video. All right.